the tales of the
I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where we kill children and then secretly resurrect them in a time-shifting universe called the world. We're back talking about Uncanny X-Force. How are you, Gary?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Had a nosebleed before we started recording. That wasn't great. But I was nice and distracted because I just pulled up the cover for this issue we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a load of Deadpool's package on the cover?
Big old package.
Jesus Christ, man.
I never knew anybody
that is form-fitting down to his balls.
I never knew anybody that stuffed their crotch, like put the sock down there or anything. But I feel like Deadpool would be that kind of dude. Like even if he was slinging massive meat, Deadpool seems like kind of guy who would just want to sling massive meat via sock or something.
Like add extra sock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen somebody where I was pretty sure that they were stuffing something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the reason why I wasn't like, oh, you know, there cannot be dicks that big. I'm familiar with the existence of huge dicks. But it was more that the next time I saw them, it wasn't.
Okay.
And my like, if I was thinking of respect in terms of like a letter grade, it went down like two whole letter grades.
So
I was like, what kind of greasy, insecure 80s movie shit is that?
I have to ask though,
you know?
Like, was there a difference in what you were wearing when you saw this person? Because maybe it was about you. He's a grower, not a shower. Maybe you were showing some skin.
He was. I was just. Well, I was washing his car in a bikini.
That's what I was saying.
So
and then the second time, you were like, just showed up without any makeup on, and guess what?
Yeah.
Doesn't he get that kind of reaction?
Didn't work. He didn't have an erection. He just had tons of like matter.
Just a whole lot of bulge happening down there.
Yeah, just like it looked like a gigantic scrotum, like he had grapefruit down there, you know. And that's the thing about stuff in the sock is it doesn't look like you have an erection. It looks like you have just like a bunch of matter.
Yeah,
like the whole kit and caboodle is just like a lot to deal with.
It's also very funny just how fundamental of a misunderstanding that boys have that they think that means anything at all for a significant amount of their lives. Like the fact that like I think you and I have even talked about this. Like I was nervous about that as a kid. And like it literally, I don't think any woman ever has been like, I would like to meet this guy. And look, he has a huge cock. Now I'm definitely going to sleep with him. Like maybe, but
it happens, but in weird like online fetish communities and shit. In my experience, like I've known some women who are like real into big dick, you know, and they're into it. But I have never, and I've like, this is not a brag because it's not something I'm like happy about.
Okay.
But this is going to sound ridiculous. It's just a matter of fact, and it's pertinent to the conversation. I've had sex with a lot of women.
Oh, okay. I thought you were about to brag how big your dick was. Okay.
Oh, no. I'm not packing anything special at all.
I thought you were going to say, but my 12 inches has never engendered that kind of reaction.
Yeah, like, women are never like, that sounds like a fucking nightmare. I'm very happy with like all parts of my dick. Largely because like 50 women are happy. We're fine with it. You know, it's like, it had sex with a lot of women. Never has anyone been like, oh man, what a disappointing dick. And it's not like I'm like, you know, oh, they just wouldn't say that. It's like, no, they broke up with me for other reasons. You know, they stopped seeing me because of my personality, not because of my dick.
Of course. Yeah.
You know? So yeah, it's not, and also if I had like a way huger dick, I've thought about that before. It just seems like a logistical nightmare to me.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Like I don't want it to be visible when I'm walking around. I don't want to have difficulty putting it places I want to put it in sex. You know, I just real comfortable with it.
Yeah, I think that's the key to everything is just getting real comfortable with whatever that you have because somebody's gonna love it, dude. Somebody's gonna really enjoy it. Yeah, like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. And hey, there's a lot of stuff you can do that doesn't have anything to do with your dick, which is the thing I didn't understand as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, that I just like sex is just this.
No.
And it's like, no, you know, it's actually like a pretty small percentage of it is that.
And sometimes it involves just laying in bed and reading Uncanny X-Force by Rick Remender and then podcasting about it.
To each other at the same time, to completion.
Completion, absolutely.
Hey, babe, get a load of Deadpool's balls on this cover.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not. I prefer your balls. Thank you, honey.
Thank you, honey. We appreciate it. Yes.
We're skipping. We're back talking about Rick Remender's X-Force. We are jumping around a little order because Marvel did an insane thing where they put out a series of 5.1 issues. They're starting in the Marvel .1 initiative, which was to create jumping on points. And they just tell a canonical story in the middle of this that is not really a jumping on point, that relies on knowing a lot of stuff that happened. It's a good issue, but it's a weird stunt.
Yeah,
Marvel did,
it's weird to interrupt, like, because it's a 5.1. Issue number 5 starts this with a new arc, picking up after the end of the last arc, which we'll talk about in just a minute, and then 6 and 7 just continue that arc, as you might expect.
Yep.
So, like, to have this kind of sandwiched in the middle felt really weird. So we just decided to cover it first, and then we'll run through the other arc. Do you want to catch up, everybody? What's been happening in Uncanny X-Force?
Yeah, we got it's Archangel and Wolverine's kill squad with Deadpool, Phantom X, and Psylocke on board. They went to go kill Apocalypse. They got some intelligence that Apocalypse was there. They met the Final Horseman, his new crew of good weirdos. And when they got to Apocalypse, they found out he was a kid at this point, since he'd been reborn. They had a big moral panic over whether to kill him. And Phantom X took the decision out of their hands and shot the child.
Yep.
Is where we are at.
So this is, like we mentioned, going to be kind of a one-off. We're going to start with the cover of just all of our dudes looking kind of weirdly liquid metal-y on the cover.
It's this artist, yeah.
Yeah. And then we're going to start out with just out of nowhere Deathstroke. Hey, how you doing? Or excuse me, how you doing, Lady Deathstrike? Not Deathstroke.
Yeah. This is the art in this issue is Raphael Albuquerque, which that sounds like a made-up name to me. And it is a little bit weird. It's a little grungier than I usually like here. But the generally gets the job done.
Yeah.
You know? She's Lady Deathstrike standing over a desiccated Wolverine, telling the Reavers, who we recognize in the background, to go and kill before someone gets to Gateway. And then we flash back to an hour earlier as Eva is flying through, and Deadpool is telling a story to everyone about having scouted out this town and seeing Gateway.
Yeah.
We talked about Gateway before. Gateway showed up in Age of Apocalypse.
Yes,
I believe. Yeah.
And Wolverine gives us the background here of, like, he's a teleporter mutant that the X-Men ran into when they were hanging out in Australia, or as Wolverine calls it, in the Outback, which is probably vaguely racist. So
he's talking about the restaurant. So
it's just we were hanging out to get that good black bread and that cold ranch on that salad. That's what we look for at an Outback Steakhouse.
Cold ranch and a blooming onion. Wolverine's healing factor means he can use as many blooming onions as he wants.
I've thought about this a lot, because I feel like that was what my healing factor was when I was 20. But now, a full 2 decades later, the amount of blooming onions that I can consume,
style.
it's not good.
Yeah. Oh my God, I had spaghetti and meatballs. I'm gonna fucking die. He's catching it. It's weird that this is an intro episode, because it's catching people up on a very specific era of X-Men history.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Australia era, they're talking about the Reavers, and the Reavers fucked up the X-Men, almost killed him. They crucified Wolverine. There was that famous cover of Wolverine on the X crucifix there. But this is all ancient history for X-Men.
Yeah.
Like the Australia era is weird. Like, I love the Australia era. It's like my favorite costumes and stuff, but it's not pertinent.
Yeah, it doesn't come up a whole lot in the modern X-Men conversation, or at least the modern era of 2010. I have not. We read 12-year-old comics, and I still consider modern, because time is.
I don't
fake.
think it comes up now either. Like it hasn't been relevant for a long time.
Yeah,
feels like. We also get the background on Lady Deathstrike. She wants revenge on Wolverine, because Wolverine dishonored her family by spreading the secrets of his adamantium. Her father invented the bonding process here.
Which is, like, wrong, right? Like, it was just all her dad's fault. And this has been a 60-year vendetta, it feels like, at this point.
I have never liked Lady Deathstrike. I think that, like, this does the best to make her cool of anything, and that's kind of the miracle of Rick Remender's X-Force to me. Is it makes characters I didn't used to like seem cool. But I've just never thought the design was very good. And I don't, honor vengeance is not interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a motivation.
And it's like brushes against the whole patches stuff, which me and you are kind of a known not fan of.
Rapport.
Yeah. And I will say that like I've always been a fan of Lady Deathstrike's. Like the design is a little iffy, but that's just the claws I have always thought was extremely fucking cool.
It's super cool looking, but it's funny because they're not retractable. So like, how does she do stuff?
How does she do anything? Yeah, absolutely.
How does she? This is definitively does not clean up after using the bathroom.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess if you have like a Bluetooth
bidet sales.
bidet, yeah. I mean, you both went to the same
bidets, but you're soaking wet afterwards.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, you can't dry.
No, I saw.
Or one of those Dyson Airblades that you can crouch over.
They have bidets with the air vent now. I saw the other day.
Yeah.
So you could just.
So there you go.
I was browsing the Lowe's
Her dad
catalog.
Probably invented that.
Yeah. But she doesn't complain about Lowe's spreading that secret around, does she? She's done on an honor quest against Home Depot.
I must kill Bed Bath and Beyond for stealing my family's bidet honor.
Yeah, I was browsing Lowe's looking for something, and I came across this toilet, and it just had like a little video of all of the features of it. And one of the features, it was like when you walk in the room, it raises the lid, I guess, in like a hi kind of
salute
way. And I'm just looking at it, I'm like, and in the back of my head, I'm like, am I going to have to change the batteries of this toilet at some point? Like, am I plugging it into the power? Like, is it solar? What do we... Why does it need to be
powered by waste?
Yeah, dude.
It's the dark future of Beauty and the Beast.
Yes.
Where all of your inanimate objects are horrible slaves.
Oh God.
Yeah. Yeah, no thanks.
We also get a little bit of background of Psylocke's experience with the Reavers and Lady Deathstrike. Yeah. Where she was basically
they escaped through the Siege Perilous when they were almost killed, and this is what turned Psylocke into a hand-controlled ninja.
Yes,
this is what ultimately made Ninja Psylocke. So she's got a lot of baggage at this.
And there's a little bit of narration here of, and this is going to be one of the themes of this particular issue of like, oh, you want revenge on these people, but this is a job, says Wolverine. You shouldn't enjoy it. Like, this should be just a job. You shouldn't really think about it too much. You should just do it. And it's going to be kind of a back and forth on whether Psylocke is enjoying herself or not enjoying herself, and what that says about her, kind of having some mental reservations about just being a cold-hearted killing machine.
Yeah. There you go. There's also a little bit with Phantom X, giving him shit about killing Apocalypse there. He's giving her shit like, hey, if you have any problems, you should say them now.
Yeah.
We cut over to the Reavers partying in a bar at Cooterman's Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every small town has a Cooterman's, if you know what I'm saying, Gary.
I love it says North Central Australia. That's a fucking continent.
Yeah.
Like, there's
no towns in North Central Australia. Come on.
Like, this is a very I don't know what Rick Remender's nationality is, but this felt very Americentric to me.
Yeah.
The Reavers are all drinking and basically talking about their plan. The Deathstrike's going to have them. They're going to use Gateway. They're going to teleport to Utopia and blow it up.
Yep.
Just kill all the mutants there.
And Deathstrike arrives and kind of talks about their like overarching plan. Like, she kind of feels like they have been trying to do too much. So this time, they're not even going to try to kill Wolverine. Her goal is to basically kill everybody else around him, because he is basically immortal at this point because he can't die. But she wants him to live, to be humiliated, to take away his honor.
Wolverine is a failed samurai. He could never meet the standards required of him. Paramount to him above all else is honor, and to kill a man in search of honor, aim not for his head, aim for his heart.
Yes.
And then she shoots a stun gun, a real Chekhov stun gun, at a picture that has been darted.
I was literally about to say Chekhov's taser, so I'm glad we were right on the same wavelength right now.
It's a little heavy-handed metaphor. Like, all the Reavers are throwing darts, which are deadly weapons, and she shoots it with a stun gun.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty amazing that this doesn't seem like the dorkiest fucking thing in the world to shoot a picture on the wall with a stun gun.
Yeah, it really should be a lot dorkier than it was. But when I was reading it, I had no dork vibes at all. I was just like, yeah, sure, okay, cool.
It's the weird magic of this run is it sells a lot of shit. Like, we're going to get into Deathlock stuff, and I've always thought Deathlock was really dorky. This run makes me think Deathlock rules.
Yeah. This run, literally, I think it's probably the best Deathlock has ever been. Like, it just fucking rules. Yeah. It's so good.
It's nuts.
We see Skullcracker, I think, Skullbuster, going outside to use the bathroom, where Wolverine, Deadpool, and Phantom X are kind of waiting outside. Meanwhile, Archangel and Psylocke have arrived to meet Gateway, and they realize, oh shit, this whole thing is a trap. They basically managed to their whole plan is to suicide bomb this whole thing. So they are baiting Wolverine in there so that they can blow him up. They're going to go into the Utopia. They're going to blow up all the mutants. And Gateway had to do this because they had threatened to kill all of his tribe, which is a classic Reaver mode.
Dick move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Reavers. So they knew, their plan is a little bit more complicated. They knew Wolverine would find out and try to stop him. They needed to do this to debilitate Wolverine while they did their plan.
Yes.
So Lady Deathstrike, comes up to Wolverine's corpse, like as he's regenerating, it says, get up and dance on the corpses of your comrades. Like, I'm going to keep you busy. The Reavers are going to go take care of business.
And again, and a thing that, like, I think if the art and the writing wasn't just perfect in this, like this whole "come now, dance with me, dear Logan" on the corpses of your comrades, and then the snicked as he breaks out the claws from looking dead, which should be kind of dorky, but it just really fucking works. It's really good.
It sold really well, in my opinion. I'm not quite as sold on the art in this issue. Like, again, it's a little like sketchier than I want.
Mm-hmm.
But it's it's really well framed and stuff. Like, it looks cool.
Yeah.
What happens here? Over at Psylocke and Archangel, the Reavers show up where they're at. They're going to leave to go help Logan, but they can't leave Gateway alone because there are all these Reavers. Psylocke goes berserker basically and starts fucking them up. So we're going to cut back and forth between Psylocke fighting the Reavers and Wolverine fighting Lady Deathstrike.
And then, something that you've mentioned a couple of times about how great this run is, it kind of shows our heroes being kind of bad at combat in some degrees. And Deathstrike just really whips Wolverine's ass. It's like she's clawing him in the face. She's, cutting out he's cutting off his senses as he's like, he can't smell because she stabbed him in the nose. She blinds him. Like, she goes all out to it. And he even says, like, oh, she knows how to fight me after all of these years. Like, she has figured this shit out.
Yeah. Yep, she's been training for this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
We get this fight with Psylocke, and the one thing, like, the Reavers have always been a little bit of a lame villain, but this is, again, doing a good job of rehabilitating them and making them scary. Psylocke cuts off the hand of the Reaver known as Pretty Boy, and he immediately shoots out his fucking eye lasers at her. It doesn't stop them. They don't feel pain, and they're able to rebuild themselves.
You said eye lasers, but I just want to make sure people understand that they're like eye tentacles. Like they're
tendrils.
Yeah, like they are wrapped around her body. Like it's a really gross maneuver. It's very.
Why does it look cool?
Yeah.
It's so stupid that he has ropes that come out of his eyes.
But it just but they just wrap her up and they're like neon, and it just works in the art, man. It looks really cool.
It just works. It's fucking. I know, man. I don't know what to do. So
the worst guy drew the best comic of the 2022.
The Reavers, several of them get away, and they go through a portal that Gateway created for them. And Archangel only has time to toss Psylocke through the portal. The portal's going to Utopia. While this is happening, while Wolverine and Deathstrike fight, and Wolverine sets up a little combo move. He knocks her into a lamp and soaks her with kerosene. And as she's dismantling him, he says, even through all this blood, I can smell that you're soaked in kerosene. Grabs the stun gun and sets her on fire. There's a really cool bit. Like, he talks about how she doesn't feel pain anymore because of her being electronic, but she knows, some part of her brain knows that she should. So it's like psychosomatic pain. She's freaking out because her body knows this is wrong, even though through all the modifications. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think this is cool too. Deadpool stumbles out of this, slowly healing up, barely able to talk. And then we switch over to Utopia, where
he can barely talk because he's carrying his hand in his mouth.
Yes, true.
Like a dog.
We switch over to Utopia, where two of the Reavers have managed to infiltrate inside. They split up to hope that they can go bomb some stuff. And of course, Utopia is not defenseless, right? We've got Pixie monitoring security. She immediately notices that they've got intruders and sends Cyclops and Magneto out, and knows that something is going on. And as soon as they're about to close on one of the intruders, Cyclops rolls up and just sees that the body has the head cut off. Like, uh-oh.
Yep. With Psylocke up above waiting, it's very dishonored. Cyclops doesn't look up, so he doesn't see the stealth thing. I really like how they are not defenseless. Like, there's a a thing that happens in side books of X-Men, where whoever the star of the book is will be really competent, and then whenever the regular X-Men are there, they're like shitty.
Yeah.
They have to show that the new team is better. The X-Men could have handled this just fine. They weren't like saved by the new team. It doesn't feel Mary Sue at all. The point of Psylocke being here is not that she is more competent. It's that she's willing to kill them.
And wants to kill them.
And Psylocke wants to kill them. Yeah. So it's her character stuff. It accomplishes a plot point, which is that Cyclops figures it out through not seeing things. Like, he says, like, he runs into a second corpse. He's like, they're dead. And he's like, bring them to me, and this stays between us.
Yes.
He's figured out what's going on. Basically, I think is the implication here. But he's keeping the secret from the team.
Yeah. I love the when Psylocke meets up with the second Reaver and he's about to snet the bomb off, and like he hits the thing right as she cuts his whole fucking hand off. That's so fucking dope, dude. It's so great.
Yeah. And then does it again with the gun. She's like, put the gun to my head, shoot me, and then cuts off his second hand. It's gotta be really fun as an X-Men to fight Reavers because you can just cut them into pieces as much as you want.
Yeah, oh yeah, perfect villain, especially for like Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah. The Deathstrike, who is now with the Reavers, is running in. She's going to go and upload her consciousness.
Yeah.
She says, you can't stop what's going to come next. This is kind of foreshadowing. And uploads her consciousness into a computer. Her body dies.
We also saw the Reavers talking about this, like on their approach to Utopia, saying like, we hope that the consciousness upload works as it's supposed to, which makes me really like, man, y'all are just dumbasses. Like, I would never trust Lady Deathstrike to upload my conscious into the fucking cloud. Like, you're gonna come out different. You're gonna come out fucking different. I don't care what she's told you, what promises she's made you. You're coming out different.
You're gonna wake up caring a lot more about adamantium secrets than you went in. And my guess is the amount you cared before was none. Because why would you? And now you care about it a lot.
Imagine being Skullcrusher in like a fucking Reaver meeting and then just spitting out something like, we have to kill Wolverine. Our honor demands it. And then everybody looks at you and he's like, ever since she brought me back, I stopped talking about honor. I don't know why. Sorry.
You're like, we got to kill Wolverine. Everyone's like, yeah, let's do it. That sounds fun. And then like, Skullbuster's like, yeah, we'll get revenge for our father.
Yeah.
And everyone looks over like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What's wrong with you, Skullcrusher?
There's a little bit, Betsy's angsting a little bit. Warren's like, did you do it? And she's like, yeah, nobody saw me. I killed them. Previous to this, I would have taken the high road. Yeah. She's changing. And Wolverine says basically like, yeah, you don't look elated anymore.
Yeah.
And they leave.
I really like this, that 3-panel beat of her looking at him, and he looks at her, and he walks off with the "you don't look elated anymore." And that's the end of the comic. Which is cool, pretty good.
Little one-off that it's a good comic, a good run-in-one. Like one issue stories are hard to do. Even this kind of isn't, because it's foreshadowing at Lady Deathstrike coming back. I think is gonna be a part of this. This uploading to the consciousness and stuff. I think that comes up later in the run. But it works. I don't know that it's a good onboarding. I don't know if it's a good point one issue.
It feels like the opposite of that. Like, if anything, like actual issue number 5, it feels better because it doesn't have anything to do with like Apocalypse yet. Like, it's weird enough to like, but you don't actually have to know what's really going on. Like, it kind of explains itself going as it goes. And yeah, it's just really weird that they were like, no, we have to have a 5.1. It feels like they had written 5, and then like months later, we're like, oh no, we need a 5.1 to go right here to be an editorial thing.
That's 100% what happened. Like, Marvel editorial said, hey, we're doing this, and then they just had to go along with it.
Yeah,
I think. Even like, you said issue 5 would be a onboarding point. Issue 1, which just happened.
Yeah, issue 1 also a good maybe start with the fucking beginning.
And ends with a huge recap of who X-Force were and the history of X-Force and stuff.
This is something that comes up with Supernatural all the time, where people are like, and because of the Supernatural podcast, people will ask me like, hey, I want to get my friend into Supernatural. Where should I start? And I'm like, you should start with episode 1, the way that like most people start. Like, why are you asking me this question?
How shows work. Well, it gets overwhelming, and I get that it gets overwhelming, but you just kind of have to be into it or not. It's not the kind of thing you can like, just do a little dip.
Yeah.
You have to decide like, I'll there are things that get better, as they go on. But if it's a serialized piece of fiction, it's not like, The Simpsons, where you can start partway through, because they don't relate to each other.
Sure. Yeah. But it's just really weird. Yeah.
It's silly. It's super silly. The other thing with this that's interesting to me is like looking at how Marvel and DC like both deal with the fact that they have all this continuity. Like Marvel started the Ultimate Universe, and then they're constantly doing things like this, like these point ones and stuff. And then DC, who is just like, our universe is reset. It's all new now. It's reset. And they just keep doing that. Like neither company knows how to tell serialized stories for 80 years, because that's never been done before. And there's not a way to do it. And this is just another one of those like kind of like greasy attempts to try to do it. It doesn't quite work. But a good story nonetheless. Like, yeah. And it would be way better if it came before issue 5, which is why we did it this way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Love this cover.
Doing issue 5. It's great. That we're back Eric Ribic cover again. Artist I really like. We have all these kind of like mutated cyborg Avengers fighting Phantom X. And they're really subtly cyborgy. Like you don't initially see it.
Yeah, especially because I think the eye is, for whatever reason, at least mine is naturally drawn to Captain America in the background. And like you see Captain America and then you're like, why is his eye glowing? Why does he have a claw? Wait, what's going on with Spider-Man? Like it's just a series of reveals almost, even though everything is right there in front of you. Also the color palette, this like really light blue with this really, really bright orange. Just so the next issue's cover too has this like really awesome color scheme that I just absolutely adore. So
Eric Ribic. Like this guy is great. He did a Loki series in the mid 2000s, and the art is phenomenal.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's really good. Interior art I like a little bit less. It's still fine.
Yeah.
Or is Sod Ribic? I keep saying Eric. It looks like no. He did the art in this one too. There's a later one in this arc with a guy I don't like as much. I think I don't know. Maybe I just like this better with this colorist.
Sure.
So. No, I'm reacting to. But this is part 1 of Deathlock Nation.
Yes.
And we begin with Grant Morrison X-Men shit.
It was perfect for us, dude. This is great. This is so good.
It not only is this like just a sequel to what we had just covered before this, but also with Psylocke and stuff, and Archangel rather getting the wings. It's also a sequel to other stuff we've covered. We have Automaton, which we haven't seen in forever, the like the end boss of the world arc of New X-Men.
Yeah.
And we have Phantom X staying there doing this kind of monologue explaining the world to people. The prose here is really cool.
It is.
I like it a lot. Like the time is like water, and if you bring it to boil, it all goes in different directions. Like and the metaphors here work for me.
This is some real like Grant Morrison stuff too. Like we heard a lot of the same kind of language around the world when he introduced it. And it's still like one of those things that really, like, I feel like if they tried to bring the world into the MCU, you'd have people on TikTok being like, I just don't understand. Like it defies a real literal interpretation or a literal explanation on some of this stuff, because like he even says, like, since I've been here, 1,000,000 years have passed on the inside, so everything looks different. And that's a crazy fucking concept, and that's something that comic books do really, really well.
It's all huge concept shit, man. Like the villain of this arc is a sentient infinity.
Yeah, no, it's
like that's
so
the most Grant Morrison ass shit that there is.
Yes,
it's awesome. I am 100% here for it. He's watching a little thing grow in a tank.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna learn about this later. Talking about just again this is kind of background. He talks about while he was in there, he found this thing. This thing is going to be a sentient infinity, as we mentioned. This bit of cyber life. It's not Stark or Roxxon or Osborn or Reaver or Phalanx. It's a conglomeration of all those things.
Yes.
An algorithm of sentient infinity. He goes back through the Weapon Plus program, showing its kind of greatest hits. We got Captain America and Nuke and Wolverine and Deadpool and such. And talking about all the things he's learned about Weapon Infinity, which is the sentient infinity. It's united, viral, it travels through omni-time, and the architect of this quirk is sequestered in a subterranean chamber deep in the world, entombed under 1,000,000 years of progress. So, dun.
Yes, and
we got to find it and kill it.
He's seeking it out There's also some weird play with some stuff because he refers to it as he parentheses it every single time he refers to he parentheses it, which is really annoying to say out loud, but kind of interesting as you're reading the text. He walks out into the world, and we see like our first glimpse of the landscape, which is just a crazy convoluted nightmare of like organic buildings and weird planets in the sky and flying creatures and melting houses and all kinds of weird shit. It's great.
It's awesome. Yeah. This is where he lives. He talks about going through, or this we go back to the real world rather. He's in his house, in Phantom X's house, talking about how he got some technology from Dr. Doom, PIM particles basically, and shrank the world down. He's got it down as this little snow globe, and he's just letting it incubate for his project.
Yes.
Here, and he says the future depends on it.
And we go over to Cavern X, which is Warren Worthington's little hideout / paraphernalia museum, where surprisingly Deadpool has called a meeting. Wolverine's kind of complaining. Go ahead.
Real quick before the museum, did you notice that they just have a table with a Magneto helmet on it?
Yeah,
off center,
just off center into the back.
It doesn't get a display case or anything like that. It's just laying around just
like somebody was definitely wearing it 10 seconds before Wolverine arrived, right?
Yeah,
like
somebody was playing Switch and put it down before the meeting. Like they said, it's a Magneto's helmet. It's good.
Deadpool has called this meeting. Wolverine's complaining because he has a lot of shit to do because he's in 18 different books. It's always very meta when I see that, and I always kind of love it. Where he's like, "Why did you call a meeting during my Avengers time?" Like he had it blocked out on his Outlook calendar or something.
I was out avenging. Wade called the meeting. He made Warren Worthington call it because he thought no one would take it seriously. He basically is saying like, "I'm not good with what happened."
Yeah.
With killing Kid Apocalypse. And Wolverine's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, we're doing therapy. This is ridiculous. And they get in this fight. This isn't what I signed up for. He's like, no, this is exactly what you signed up for. We don't have time for this. Like, we cannot question this. We saved the world. We did the right thing. If you want to be out of the squad, be out of the squad.
Yeah.
It's they're going back and forth. Wolverine's like, we did the right thing. And Psylocke says, who are you trying to convince? You yourself or Deadpool.
Yeah. And eventually Wolverine is like, you're let me just cut to the chase here. Like you're trying to find meaning and value in yourself. And you're not, you're a blood-sucking mercenary with no heart, motivated solely by money. And Deadpool says, well, I've never killed a kid. That may be true, but I never killed a kid. Like there's a line in the sand that Deadpool won't cross versus Phantom X, who has obviously murdered this dude. And we find out pretty quickly as Deadpool leaves and Warren tells Wolverine he's never cashed one of my checks, hasn't in the last 2 years that he's worked for me. Which is, kind of astonishing for everything that you know about Deadpool. But also like maybe that dude just doesn't know what to do with a check. Like he just doesn't have a bank.
He doesn't have a bank.
I recently, because we're doing all this weird stuff around the house, I had to write a dude a check for like, I don't remember what the amount was, but he came back the next day and was like, "Hey man, I had a problem with your check." And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry. Like what do we need to do?" And he's like, "Oh no, your bank just refused to cash it since it was over such and such dollars." And I'm like, well, that's a fucking stupid Why? Are you
What's the point of having a check?
Yeah, and he went to my bank. Like, if anybody knows that the cash exists, it's my bank. It's not like he went to like the fucking grocery store to cash a check or anything.
Yeah.
And it was fine. Like he just told me like, oh yeah, I have somebody that I know and he cashed it for me. And I'm like, well, that sounds like a fucking drug deal.
What does that mean? It's way worse.
Checks. I just don't think Deadpool has a fucking checking account, so that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he probably just takes checks and tries to use them like cash.
Yes,
like they say, hey, it's $5, and he pulls out 5 different checks for $10,000 from Warren Worthington and tries to give it to him. Doesn't understand why they won't take it.
Can't you give me change?
Yeah, the just smaller checks. So yeah, he storms off.
Yes,
at this point. We cut over to Phantom X in his house in the French Alps with his mother, who may or may not exist, talking about her.
Yes.
She spilled soup on the ground, and she's basically like, hey, you haven't been here for a while. What's been going on? He's saying, I have important work to do.
Yes.
There's a really great, I'm working with Xavier's people. there's a really great bit where she's like, starts talking about how she's not sure if she exists. He's like, this is a slippery slope. You exist. You spilled soup.
Yeah.
Don't think about it too much.
You think, you feel, you spill soup. Thus you are. Like that's all you need to know. Yeah.
Really like that.
And of course, that's when they are attacked. We see something in the window that looks like a cyclops with some like 90s tubes coming out of him, and then he is blasted with what looks like Cyclops' optic blast. And then Robot Cyclops comes in and starts talking about how the secondary objective, target designate, Phantom X, located, proceed to execution. There's going to be a lot of this robot talk, and it's played for maximum effect at all times, and I desperately love it. It's so good.
Yeah. I love how from the outside it looks like Cyclops with 90s tubes. And then when he comes in, it is just Cyclops with 90s tubes. Yes. Like, the Deathlock virus is 90s tubes. This is really chaotic. Like, he gets attacked by Cyclops, and then Elektra swings for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird. Like, what the fuck's going on? The mom like asks, like, who are they? He says, assassins from beyond.
That's what I'm gonna say for everything from now on. Who are they? Assassins from beyond.
Hell yeah. Assassins from beyond.
Deathlock, Captain America, and
really
Deathlock
good.
the Thing show up, and they're talking about the primary objective, which is to acquire the world, safeguard, protect infinity. Secondary objective, of course, still is eliminate Phantom X. I love the response. You will fail at both. Very, very bold. Very good. And then they start fighting. I love the idea of Phantom X stabbing Thing in the head. I don't know why.
Thing through the head.
Just very funny.
Now here's the hard part. Just trying to get it through. I also like Captain America. He throws his shield at him. He's like, "You were fighting against peace on Earth," which is great. Spider-Man, in a very non-Spider-Man-esque move, grabs Phantom X's mother into a corner and snaps her neck.
Fucking A, dude.
Yeah, dude. It's wild. Like, I love the way that Remender, and this run specifically, creates all these questions. Like, this is wild shit to see, and just when I first read this, I was like, God, I gotta know what the fuck this is about.
Yeah, what is happening? Like, I need to know everything that is happening about this. And I think that one of the things that I like about this run is, like, we're gonna learn why this is, and it works, and it's better than anything I could have come up with in my imagination. Like, it's actually one of the rare times where, like, I wanted the answer, I got the answer, and I was more than satisfied about it.
Yep.
Captain America secures the world, the snow globe that is the world, and then it's time for everybody to leave. But of course, Phantom X is super mad that Spider-Man killed his mom, so throws him and Captain America out of the window.
Great sentence. Comics are great.
Comics are good.
Spider-Man killed mom. He goes out there where Hawkeye has a bomb arrow pointed at the chalet. He says, "Hey, the allies remain inside." Captain America says, "Acceptable casualties," and he blows it up.
Yep.
And we get the first notice here. Captain America says, "Notify father." First mention of father. Eva did not leave Phantom X behind, though. Managed to pull him out.
Yes.
At that point, so they're escaping. He needs to call the rest of X-Force. When in the snow, who does he run into but Deathlock?
Yeah.
Deathlock is an old Marvel character from Marvel UK. He's basically RoboCop. Mm-hmm. Before there was RoboCop, he was a guy who got turned into a cyborg against his will. Yeah.
Does he predate RoboCop? There's no way, huh?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I found that out recently. Yeah.
Oh my God, 1974. Holy shit.
Yep. By like a lot.
Yeah.
It's basically Marvel's RoboCop.
That is insanity to me. Like, if you would, like, I would have bet my entire house that was the opposite direction, my dude.
God, I wish I had taken that bet. Pack up, Liv. We're moving to
we're going to Louisiana. Let's ride.
Yeah. It's okay. You guys can stay in the barn. No, I wouldn't do that to you.
No,
you'd move here and it'd be freaky.
Yeah.
Freaky Friday.
Freaky Friday. I would be on all the Duckfeed podcast. You can go sell water meters. Yeah. It'd be fun.
Yeah, like, so do you listen, water, how does it work? Are you pro or con? My company can help you with this.
Why do you sound so much like fucking the guy from The Office? The idiot dude, not Ben. Just the way you said that was very the younger guy. I can't think of his name.
The young guy?
Yeah, the one that did that, like, wanted to do the Social Network, took over the company, failed, and then went back to work. Ryan. Yeah, you had a very Ryan cadence when you're like, water, how does it work? What can it do for you? My company can help you.
Woof. Woof.com. Got sent a woof. So the Deathlock is here, and it's time for Deathlock. And again, just the character, her rehabilitation continues, because Deathlock was somebody I always thought was stupid prior to this, and this makes him good.
Yep. This is actually extremely good stuff. So we're gonna go
another banger cover, as you mentioned. We get Deathlocked out versions of the team of Uncanny X-Force in front of this beautiful, like brilliant orange background.
Yeah, this orange
just
and
the coolest looking shit,
and like purple and green kind of situation happening. Like the title is green. It's so fucking good, dude. Like this color style just does a lot for me. More games
bold
need
colors
to do stuff like this. Like I would love to see like more weird colors in games. So
yeah, I love bold colors, very much so. Bold flat colors specifically.
Yeah.
For me, like something just being very sparkly, like a good example of like colorful in a way I don't like is the Speed Racer film, which people love that movie, I know, but that looks too busy.
Yeah.
To me, I want something bright, but like kind of flat.
Yes, absolutely.
Like this is what I want from colorful.
It's not
like Fury Road, basically.
Like Fury Road, it's not necessarily bright because a lot of it happens in the dark, but the way that the guy who directed Mandy plays with like purple lighting during that entire movie, it's that like very flat, like very hard edges. He did a episode of that new Curiosity Cabinet.
Oh, the cabinet. Yeah. Me and Liv started watching that.
Yeah, I skipped ahead since they were. It doesn't really matter what order, and I was really curious what that dude would do. Would be, and it's basically like all about that. It's all about just the lighting and weirdness. There's very little actual plot that happens in that. It is really fucking good.
We watched the first one, and then I was like, oh man, I wonder if we could buy a storage unit just for fun. If there are places like that in Portland, and there are, and you can do it online.
Yeah, it's all pretty easy nowadays. Like they've got it down to a fine science.
So we might do that. I mean, we might just end up throwing away a bunch of junk, but it's a weird, fun idea to me. It might end up resulting in us, getting killed by a Lovecraftian horror. So
God, I wish it were me.
Into it.
wish it were me.
So beautiful cover here on number 6.
Yes.
We start this with the Deathlock Avengers. They're talking about how they managed to grab the world, but they've only done 50% of their mission because they have not killed Phantom X.
Yep. So Spider-Man thwips his way onto Phantom Ox's ship and is immediately just blasted into the sun. Phantom Ox realizes like he gets knocked off the ship, and Phantom X is like, oh, I can't shoot this dude, so I guess I'm just gonna have to punch him. And it's got this really cool like kicking and punching fight scene, which is. It's just a classic example of like just really good readable choreography that makes sense in a comic book. Like it's just really fun and expressive. I really love it when this stuff works and I can understand what the fuck is happening.
I really like what happens after he does this. He turns into Peter Parker for a second, kind of foreshadowing what happens. He's like, I don't deserve this. We fought against it. It wasn't our fault. And I love, I believe you. Like
shoots him in the head.
Yes. That's true. I don't think you're lying, but it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Shooting Peter Parker in the head, getting revenge on Peter Parker snapping his mother's neck. Comics. The Deathlock walks up, saying it's Captain America is the one who has the world. He's got Cyclops. He's just dragging. We didn't get to see that fight.
Where's the versus issues of this that we need to fill in all of the fights that we don't see?
We get a great scene after this. Like, so they're going to go after Captain America. We cut over to Psylocke talking to Captain Britain in an English garden.
Yes.
And she's saying how, I don't feel like I am, I used to be this innocent X-Men and now I'm one of their most ferocious warriors. He says, well, compared to the company you keep, that's silly. You got your Magnetos and your Wolverines or whatever. And he says, yeah, but I killed a child. And he loses it. He doesn't accept it. He's like, this is not what Xavier would have wanted. This is an abomination. She says, listen, I don't, tell me that you understand. Like, these were different times for mutants. We are on a preserve on Utopia. The old ways, the idealism is dead. We have to do this. Tell me you understand. He says, I can't condone you. I can't absolve you, but I do understand. I love you. she says thank you, and this turns out to be a danger room simulation.
And some important things in there, like I'll love you unconditionally, right? Like no matter what you do, I'll be here for you. And did we specifically say this was her brother? Like that's probably an important part of this.
Captain Britain.
But like just this idea of her not only kind of wrestling with this, but also wrestling with the fact that she's not wrestling with it that hard is really good. Like absence of like feeling guilty about something is a strange sensation that I've had in my life sometimes. I've just been like, do other people feel bad about this? Like I feel like society has told me this is bad, but I don't feel bad when I do it. And then also like, rehearsing a whole conversation with somebody is just very human. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like this is something that I think a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love the way that she talks about it. When she leaves, Archangel's there. He's like, what are you doing in the danger room alone? She's talking to myself. It's self-therapy. She's the team's therapist, right? Like everyone else could go to, when Warren Worthington is having trouble with his demons, he goes to her because she's a psychic. Who does she go to?
Mm-hmm.
He says, hey, we have to go. Phantom X is in trouble. She's like, Phantom X, eh? He can take care of himself. Like,
just does not care at all.
Yeah. He put me in this guilt spiral.
Meanwhile, back at the Alps, our Deathlock Avenger crew are searching for Phantom X when they feel a different Deathlock unit accessing the connection and sever it. Captain America calls it a threatening, non-compliant AI, which kind of feels like what Twitter is nowadays. And they check in with the father, and this is our first picture of the father, who's just like sitting in a villain chair and like a weird organic thing filled with screens. Just every villain has to have like multiple monitors, man. It's always extremely hilarious. It's how much information they need at one time.
I got to get one of these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is how I felt. This is how I felt when I got a second monitor for my computer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, yeah.
Have you seen those weird Samsung monitors they just came out with? It's a curved screen, but it's vertical instead of horizontal, and it's probably like 40 inches tall or something. Like it's as tall as it's taller than most children.
Does it curve vertically or curve like side to side?
Like if you looked at it from the side, if you mounted it properly on your desk and you were approaching it from the side, it would look like a C, and like you could see everything.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude, it's massive. It's just the worst thing ever. And like the reviews of it are like, yeah, this thing sucks. Like you can't see anything on this.
Yeah, back to the drawing board.
Let me see if I could. Okay, yeah, they've just got an image, and also like every screenshot you see of this thing, people are just doing the worst shit, like watching 3 different news streams at the same time.
Oh no, yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
I do not understand the point of something like that.
No. do not like it.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Anyway, the Deathlock Avengers are like, hey, we need backup. Like we need some reinforcements, and the father calls in the reinforcements, so it's going to be a little bit. And then they are immediately run into Phantom X, who kind of just lays waste to him, just shoots the shit out of him along with Deathlock.
They ambush him. Yeah. They didn't expect him to be there. But this is showing us, Deathlock is a badass.
Yes.
Here, or Deathlock Prime, original Deathlock. Mm-hmm. He fucks everybody up. Saying that they keep saying over and over, protect the world, protect the world. They're trying to save the snow globe until eventually he gets it.
Yes.
There's a really great little bit where Phantom X picks up the Captain America shield. And it's like, do you need this? Because I would start a new museum. Like, this is pretty good. And he's like, no, I'll keep it.
I will keep this. Yeah. And then finally, reinforcements arrive for Phantom X. We see Eva come up with what looks like Wolverine and Archangel and Psylocke. But as they get out, they realize, it's the Deathlock X-Force team, which is just as bad.
X-Force.
Yeah.
Yep. Big problem. He's like, these are not my friends. They're running towards a cliff to get away. They have the world. This really great. Can you fly? No, me either. They jump off. What the plan is, they're flying towards this. Looks like just ground, like they're going to die. They put Captain America's shield there, but this is a lake.
Yeah.
So they actually smash through the water and come up.
Yep. But
to survive.
We have another Evo flying in, and this one's red as opposed to green, and this is the good team. Deadpool comes out and it was like, you have no idea how close a vote was just to leave your ass out here. Like, nobody cares. Absolutely nobody cares. And of course, like, he has to fill them in on like, oh, we've got an evil Captain America and the fate of the world is in our hands. We need to do some shit. We need to get the fuck out of here first and foremost.
Yep. And talk, debrief. They do. They get out of there, and he says, Psylocke is trying to give him the business. Like, you bring us nothing but trouble. He's like, I'm sorry, this has inconvenienced your plans. Cyborgs came and stole from me and killed my mother. The Wade is like, oh, this Deathlock is one of them. He's like, no, this is a good one. And Wolverine lays it out. I love Wolverine explaining Marvel history to characters.
Yes,
which happens a lot in this arc.
Yeah, I need a drunk Wolverine history podcast. Is what I need. Someone that just does a really good, like, get what's his name on the phone and just have him write a script for him to explain Marvel comics. It'd be hilarious.
Yeah, and if it's not, we'll get Matt Berry to play him.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's so they're basically explaining like they're the Avengers. They've been deathlocked. They're trying to kill me. They're trying to acquire this. He holds up the snow globe. Wolverine recognizes it. He's got the world in my hand. Wolverine says, why haven't you destroyed it? And he's like, are you nuts? Like, this can do a lot of harm, but it can do a lot of good. The world, like, Earth needs it. Humanity needs it. We can't kill this thing. While this was happening, Eva was hooking up to the Captain America lock corpse, and Wolverine can talk to Steve, who's still in there.
Yep.
He's like, hey, can you answer some questions before you die? This is real grisly. Like, he's got a tube in his brain, his eye's missing.
Yeah, his eyes look like they've put it, like they've run a tube to his eye to be able to like see what he sees, right? Like, it's because he's also like half machine. We have to remember that. Like, this is very body horror by itself, and also extremely fucking cool. Who doesn't want to see like a ripped apart Captain America? It's dope. It's extremely great.
It's the fun shit that happens with alternate realities is you get to see Spider-Man snap some necks.
Yeah,
which I like.
And Captain America explains everything. So Father, using the world, instigated Operation Deathlock, which caused all of the Deathlocks to rise up against the superheroes. And instead of just killing the superheroes, they would convert them into Deathlock troopers. Very quickly wiped off the X-Men, the Avengers, the Defenders, and then And Wolverine at this point is like, no one like stopped this, and like actually and Captain America's like, we were really shitty about then. Like we all had bought our own version of Twitter and run it to the ground, so everybody was really unhappy with us. And
public opinion was not on our side.
Yeah,
at this point,
and we're seeing images of this on the screen pulled from Captain America's, memories, and it's just
memory.
Yeah, it's very funny to see like various, like they've got a Vision Deathlock and a Punisher Deathlock on the screen. It's very funny to me.
When they're showing the news reports or showing the public opinion thing, it's specifically Archangel, like summarily executing somebody.
Yeah.
Here, saying how these the public wanted Deathlocks, and even though people did fight, they couldn't fight because like fighting zombies, everyone you lose, they gain one.
Yeah.
It's impossible. He says we were all Deathlock, and Wolverine says this hasn't happened yet, Steve. Tell us how to stop it. And he goes, you understand, like you shouldn't stop it. Father was right. Like when he did this, humanity flourished. It created a utopia. Like this is the best thing that happened, was us all sacrificing ourselves to become super cops. And he says there's one fly in the ointment that stopped all this. So we had to go back and stop it. And he says, what was that? Apocalypse. And we get this amazing screen in the background of Apocalypse standing in front of an American flag.
Dude, excuse me?
President Apocalypse.
President Apocalypse is one of the best ideas ever, man. I'm here for this so hard. This is so good.
They don't stop and question this at all. Warren's like, oh, he's dead. You got your facts mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically explains, what's going on. He's like, you cannot stop this. This is precognitive evolution. It's Grant Morrison-y stuff.
Yeah.
It's always going to be. Phantom X is like, where is Father? Where he's always been. He's deep in the world.
Yep. And that's when they're attacked by the Deathlock Evo. And so they are, and before they can do anything, when they're distracted by this, Captain America grabs a gun and fucking executes himself, shoots himself in the head.
Yeah. Hey kids,
Vicious, X-Men comics, everybody, where Captain America fucking commits suicide. It shouldn't be funny, but all of the X-Force reactions to this, just with their bulging out eyes, are like, "What in the fuck?" It just happened.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. At some point, they probably wanted to see this weird shit as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
they're gonna. Phantom X has a plan. They're gonna expand the world. They're going to get back on the surface of the earth, expand the world. They're going to go in. They're going to kill Father. And he says, we're going to kill the future. And that's where the issue ends. Just one in a number of great lines when we start talking about killing the future. So I very much love.
Yeah. This is all hinting at what we're going to find out at the end of this, that Phantom X did not kill Apocalypse.
Yep.
You know, them coming back. There's a line he says about, not killing somebody, future killing somebody. And stuff. A lot of this whole series is gonna be dealing with the aftermath and the reasons and what for is behind that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just a really cool way to reveal it. The next issue we show the cover of this one. Out of these covers is my least favorite, but it's very funny because everyone just kind of like firing and clawing wildly in every direction,
yelling in different directions. Absolutely.
There's no, we don't get to see any antagonism. It's just everybody just going rah, having a big freak out.
I've been watching this show on HBO Max called Primal. Have you seen or heard anything about this show? It's an animated Jindy Tartakovsky.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like, prehistoric, there's a dude and some dinosaurs or whatever, but like 90% of it is just like dinosaurs or this dude screaming back and forth at each other. There's zero dialogue. It's just a lot of roaring, like monsters roaring back and forth, and then like a solid 3 minutes of just running across a landscape. Maybe being chased, maybe not, but just solid running across a landscape. But just it reminds me of this, of just like roar, roar, roar.
This always makes me think about the what is it? The Birthday Boys sketch about Star Wars. Have I made you?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't know that I know that.
It's long, but I'll make you watch it.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil it here. But everybody search Birthday Boys Star Wars.
Okay.
That's a sketch I really like. This reminds me of. So this is the conclusion. It's a 3-part arc. Need more of those. We're going through. Phantom X is kind of laying out his history about the world. How he brought Wolverine here because he felt like he needed to. This made Wolverine trust him. Thus he joined X-Force. So there's a huge decrease in the amount of, thieving, intrigue, casual sex. In hindsight, this was a huge mistake.
Yep.
Getting involved with this.
All the while he is enlarging the world, and then the whole team enters. And he like shoots the controls on the way out, which even Psylocke is like, did you really think that's gonna like stop anybody? And he's like, I don't know, man, it works in the movies. Which is very funny. And they enter into the world, which is a very trippy place if you're not prepared for it. We get a little bit more backstory from Deathlock, where he talks about Deathlocks are weapon infinity. Like this was what was referred to in the first issue of the arc. Perpetually traveling in time, protecting the events that ensure a future where all super beings are controlled. If we fail to kill the father, the sentient infinity will be ingrained, so it will be impossible to stop. Awesome. Fucking killer.
Yeah.
Because like Deathlock, and now that I'm thinking, I'm vaguely remembering my Deathlock history, like not only is he like RoboCop, but he's also like Jean-Claude Van Damme's Time Cop. Like he's traveling throughout time to do cop stuff.
Time RoboCop.
Yeah, he's Time RoboCop. Yeah. How we didn't have that movie in the 80s, I have no idea. Like why that never happened. It's beyond me.
Never been a better time.
See, but now there'd be like a 10 episode miniseries where the guy has to like learn how to become RoboCop. There's not even going to be any time travel in it. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take way too long.
Time travel will be the last bit of the last episode.
Like the Surf and Dracula. Are we both thinking the same thing?
I really like the so they're all walking on the walls. It's all MCS share, and I really like Deadpool pointing that out. Like, oh, this is like 12th grade art class. That's very cute to me. They have to go look, and they're going to split up.
Yeah,
to go look for Father.
And we check in on the Father, who is watching them on his organic curved monitors.
Yep, exactly. Phantom X takes Deadpool with him, and Deadpool is trying to make conversation. And these two hate each other. Deadpool has a little funny bit. He's talking about how you're here alone a lot. You probably got lonely, lots of lonely time. Probably jerking off a lot. You ever think about the Watcher? And that's kind of funny. Like every time I try to masturbate, I just imagine the Watcher's fat voyeuristic mug popping up there.
It's really funny, especially considering who they've cast as the Watcher in the MCU now. It's very funny to me.
Phantom X not amused.
No, not at all. And he basically says like, "Hey, this must be exhausting for you. Like, but this is not the way. Like, you're going to ingratiate yourself.
We
to
become
me.
friends.
Yeah, this is not going to work."
Yeah.
And Deadpool says, "All right, fuck off. Then I'll just go do my own thing." And which is like, you're gonna get the feeling like this was Phantom X's idea from the beginning, is to try to get Solo.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, there's really nice like kind of back and forth. Like, yeah, I'm not the most despised member of the squad. And he's like, "Are you sure about that?" Nobody really likes you. They head out. We cut over to Deathlock and Wolverine walking around.
I ship it. I'm just gonna say it out loud. I ship it.
Oh yeah, the 75% meat.
Logan Lock, I guess is what you would call that. Death Vereen.
Death Vereen. Ben Vereen's violent brother. They're being stalked, and Wolverine doesn't notice until the last second because they're being stalked by Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like, who are stalking us? The best there is. And he's been self-stalked.
Yep.
Also, I ship it. The tag.
Deadpool is there as well. Deathlock Deadpool is also there.
Yes.
And normal Deathlock is like, I am definitely prepared for this, and whips out his like energy Wolverine claws, which again should not be cool in 2010 or 2022.
No.
But it's very cool.
Contrast it with it wasn't cool when Jason Aaron did it.
Yeah.
In Wolverine and the X-Men. That didn't work. Why is this cool? I don't know, man. It's a spell it has over us. We're being misdirected by Rick Remender.
Insanity.
And I love it. As it happened, we go to Psylocke and Archangel flying, basically talking about what they've been going through. Like Archangel is, she's Psylocke saying like, I'm sensing your distress. Like you've been having these migraines. You stopped coming to sessions. He says, don't baby me. If you're frightened, and the Archangel's kind of taking control of Archangel, the Archangel personality. You think I'm frightened? And as this is about to happen, a missile's coming right towards them, interrupting their drama.
Yes. Which is, classic X-Men time. I just think it's very funny that chasing them is Deathlock Wolverine or Deathlock Archangel carrying Deathlock Psylocke. It's very funny. It's just like they really paired this up.
Mirror match.
The only thing that they don't have is a Deathlock odd machine. Just a one giant machine.
Oh man, a Deathlock with Deathlock pieces. Incredible. Deathlock Nation.
Deathlock squared? Yeah. Are you serious right now? Come on.
So this damages Warren's wings. He's flying in. They're kind of fighting a little bit. We cut back to the fight with regular Deathlock versus Deathpool here. Not just action that's happening here. It's kind of hard to talk about, but it's good readable action.
Yes. Yeah.
Like you mentioned. Notably, Deathlock Wolverine gets the better of regular Wolverine. Like he's about to murk him.
Mm-hmm.
This happens as the important thing, which is Deadpool off on his own, wanders into Father's organic curved monitor chamber.
Yep.
And the Father has superpowers here. I was expecting him to be somebody we recognized immediately, like a Professor X or something.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just a bald guy, but Deadpool recognizes his voice because this is his power. He recognizes him because he is father. He has father powers.
He's got daddy voice. That's his mutant power, is daddy voice. And like, take for that what you mean, but he just has daddy voice.
Yeah,
you can interpret that in a lot of different ways, but he has daddy voice.
Rick Remender loves this superpower.
Yeah.
This is, the misdirection stuff. Like he loves people having persuasion. The Uncanny Avengers run that I started reading, where like Red Skull has recruited Honest John, the living propaganda. Whose just power is everyone believes everything he says.
How do you get around that?
It's all cool shit. Yeah, it's super good. It's like I remember, it's not a comic that's aged super well, but like the first time I read Preacher, it was really mind blowing.
Oh yeah,
it's such a cool superpower.
Mm-hmm.
But he's working Deadpool, like you've been your true self this whole time. Like everyone is being arrogant and indifferent to you, but I loved you. You're a good man. You're a hero. you're one of the greatest heroes. I'm proud of you. Like just saying dad stuff, like daddy issue approval stuff. And it makes Deadpool break down.
Nope.
Like you are my favorite son.
Yep. And he says,
and those people need to be killed.
No matter what I do, they'll never respect me, says Deadpool. And we switch over to Psylocke and Archangel, who are still getting attacked by missiles. And eventually, Warren is kind of taken over by Deathlock as he's flying, Psylocke. And she's like, I can't even, like, if I try to fight this out of his mind, I might scar him for life. Like, I might ruin his psyche. So instead, she throws her sword behind her and stabs Death Psylocke in the head with it, and then I think his death, Archangel just drops her. It was like associate lifespan completed, discard.
Yeah, it's real good.
So funny.
Actual, Archangel when this happens goes, "Oh, son of a," just realizing he just came back from mind control.
And they very quickly make a left turn that Death Archangel is not able to do. Deathlock Archangel is not able to do, and he crashes. And then Psylocke is immediately like, I got to go back and get my sword. And he's like, you don't have any other swords? She's like, yeah, but I want that sword. So they have to go back and get it.
Yeah. Deathlock Wolverine is about to kill regular Wolverine when he gets a different command. And Wolverine's like, I'll take it. This different command is they're all being sent over to Phantom X. Phantom X is at his secret chamber. Here. Deathlock behind him says, what is so important? And Phantom X goes, it's better that you don't know. And he's like, oh man, this line of code, this message, something's going on. I'm being tracked. Wait a minute. I've been misdirected. He puts his gun on Deathlock, and it turns out this was Deathlock Phantom X.
Whoops. Got him.
Super cool.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yeah, I've never been misdirected. That's weird. Like, that feels weird.
Highly off-putting is what he says, which I think is a very funny. Like, ooh, this one's very weird.
And I love this this little bit here. His secret weapon, where Automaton shows up, and he goes, "That's the bad one." And just points to the other one. And Automaton just blows him up.
Very good.
Yeah.
And then, Phantom X is like, hey, you have to protect the laboratory and its contents. Do not, you go in, do not come out. Don't let anybody in. No matter what you hear, if you hear me or whatever, you stay out there. And this is when more Deathlocks start approaching Phantom X, and there's a lot more fighting.
Yep. Deathlock Wolverine and Deathlock Deadpool specifically, and they're killing Phantom X. Yep. You're saying, I haven't really absorbed this much damage before. This is going to have a permanent effect on me, no matter what. Real Deadpool is watching with Father, and he's like, they're killing him. He's like, oh, that's what he deserves. Watch him die. Watch us save the future. That bully won't pick on you again. Do you see how much I love you? Just working this thing on Deadpool until he makes a mistake. He says, your father's so proud. You'll get cake for this, Wade. Cake and a kiss on your forehead as I tuck you in. And this snaps Deadpool out of it.
He's like, wait, that sounds actually bad. Wait a minute.
Yeah, he's tucking me in.
He's giving me a kiss? Weird. Excuse me? And this wakes him up enough so that he's able to cut off the father's head, just like, and then immediately all of the other Deathlocks start disappearing because that's the way that Back to the Future works.
The future didn't happen.
All of the pictures faded.
Didn't happen. Just in time. They get there right in time, and Deadpool, who is having this crisis with the team, is the one who saved the day. They're Phantom X like, I think somebody found Father, but you're all here. And he's like, not everybody's here, right? I'm here. He tells a little joke. He's like, why did the little shoe, why was he unhappy? His father was a loafer, and shows Father's head on his sword.
Classic Deadpool.
Yeah, classic Deadpool.
Deathlock is like looking over at the hole that leads to Phantom X's laboratory, which Phantom X just dismissed as like, oh, that's like I had a healing pod in there. I had to put myself back together. Like you don't need to get in there, and it's too dangerous to stay. So they all leave, and we go to the inside of the laboratory where Weapon 15 is waiting and watching, where we see Kid Apocalypse with the Wolverine helmet. And we see the name at the bottom, in Sabanur, age 847 days.
Yeah.
So
he's rapidly aging Apocalypse. So he didn't kill him. He's putting him in a time chamber.
Dun, dun, dun.
To bring him back. Heck yeah.
And then next issue, Shadow King.
Who they're also going to rehabilitate.
Yeah.
Somebody who I don't care about, but they're going to make seem cool. Great run. It's going to take everything. Like, if I read these too far in advance, they're hard to talk about.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be really hard not to just keep reading though.
I had that problem today because I finished the 4 issues and I was like, I could keep playing God of War, or I could just keep doing this for a little while.
It's good shit.
Yeah, it's really good. And they talk fast too. Like it ends up with us not spending a lot of time like talking about them because they're just good. Like they're real easy and clear, and they're not like you don't have to spend a lot of time trying to decipher what the fuck is happening in them.
Or why people do things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like that's a big thing when we're reading 70s and 80s comics is like characters do shit that doesn't make sense. Here, this just feels like a story. Like, it is better, much more cogent.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I really like it. In order to not read ahead on this, I've just been reading comics before bed and stuff. I read the first arc of that Gambit and Rogue Married series.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me. You said it was good. What do you like about it?
Yeah,
just fun.
It's just fun. Like it's real light. It's real lightweight. It's real fun. They introduce Lalandra and Charles Xavier's kid.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm kind of surprised they've never done that before.
Interesting. Yeah, I would surprised too.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't think it's amazing,
but it's probably far better than you expected it to be, right?
Yes,
by a significant margin.
Yes, it's nothing you have to like go out and run to go read.
Yeah,
but it is fun.
It's just a highly recommended comic book.
Yeah. And we're going to be back in a couple weeks. Next week, enjoy Best Quality Vacuum.
Yeah.
Our sister show on the same day.
Yeah. And if you want even more Duckfeed content, you can go to Duckfeed.tv patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. Sign up. You get access to the Slack channel and just a literal fucking torrent of... Not a literal torrent, that's actually a thing. Just an actual like fire hose of content just spewed at you. A friend of the show, Dex, just signed up and he DM'd me. He was like, "Oh my god, this Patreon is a gold mine," because I didn't know all this stuff existed. And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, there's a lot. Have fun."
Hey, we didn't feel good asking for money, so we decided to give out tons and tons and tons of stuff.
Yeah, of course.
For it. And it's, again, not to toot my own horn, but it's all pretty good. I want to draw a little bit of attention real quick. The last couple premium Watch Out for Fireballs have been great, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one we just did on The Evil Within 2, I think is a real hoot. And then we just recorded one on Half-Life Alyx, which I think is one of our better episodes because we're confronted with like weird VR stuff we haven't had to talk about.
Yeah.
So it was real cool to stretch. So I think, it's never been a better time.
Join us. They keep talking about that PSVR 2, and I just like look at the VR helmet that's in a box beside my desk and think, nah, probably going to bypass this one, my friends. Like didn't particularly care for the first one. Probably going to skip the second one. Like this is not a format that is of particular interest to me. So see you later.
It's very interesting. Like doing Alyx has really made me kind of cement where I'm at with VR, and it's like some stuff real fun. It just really depends on the game.
Yeah.
But it's also there's a barrier of entry. Like I have to like sit down and put on a thing. And clear out a room. Like it's work. It's not easy like video games are.
The most fun I had with it was Deracine, which I didn't finish because it made me motion sick. And they did a version of Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes for the PlayStation VR.
Mm-hmm.
And doing that at like a Christmas party where I did the video game stuff and like people that don't play video games did the binder stuff. Like I had it printed out. And they were like, I don't know if you're familiar with that game at all. I figured you were, but
yeah.
Okay. Like that kind of asymmetric stuff was really good. And then otherwise, it was mostly just like scaring people, like putting my dad in the helmet and making him play the kitchen demo for Resident Evil 7, and just having him rip it off his face as fast as possible because he was so scared. All that stuff was great. But
yeah,
a lot of
it's fun to watch dads on.
They made one of the Spider-Man movies came out during that time, and Sony produced like a MCU themed Spider-Man like VR demo thing.
I've heard about that.
And it was like, at first you're like looking around and you're in New York City and like you're shooting web and you're doing this thing and it was like, okay, look up and you see the crane. And I'm like, I see the crane. And it was like, all right, swing from the crane. And I hit the button and it zoomed me over there, not in teleport mode, but in like swing mode. And I literally ripped it off as fast as I could. I was like, and I deleted the game immediately. My whole body like reacted in a way like just, stop it. Immediately stop it. This is not acceptable. So.
It's ultimately, I think what's going to kill the medium is it's not inclusive at all.
Yeah.
And it doesn't care about being inclusive. Like you don't have the space or the inner ear that can play it and you're just fucked. Like it's just not for you. And that sucks. I will recommend to you, if you ever decide to fuck around with it again, probably my ideal VR game is The Room.
Yes, that's the only I've been.
That's great.
If that stuff comes out, I don't think it ever came out for PSVR. I should look up and see if it's actually, because I still have all that stuff. But I was actually really bummed I didn't get to play The Room VR because I'm such a huge fan of all of those games. Like I love all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I've played them all 2 or 3 times, like into the lore of The Room in a weird way.
Yeah.
I was really bummed that I couldn't play the VR game because I thought that was such a natural fit, like to be able to do stuff like that.
Yeah, it reacts really well to moving stuff around.
Yeah,
like you're flipping levers and flipping switches and shit, and doing that stuff in VR and conceiving of the puzzles that way works.
Yeah. That was just like the keep talking, right? Like that was, you're doing the same thing. You have a box in front of you and you're fucking with it as opposed to swinging across New York City, which I never want to do.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Hey, do you think this is a good episode?
Thanks, everybody.
This is a good episode to plug our Twitter, or do you think we should just?
It's never been a better time. There might still be Twitter.
Yeah, tomorrow. Maybe not. Who knows? It's been a tumultuous
maybe
week.
Not. Honestly, I'd rather just have it rip off the Band-Aid and just go away at this point, rather than this will it or won't it shit. But yeah, it's whatever.
I have a lot of thoughts.
I can't
about
be
it,
invested.
But it's just a bummer, I think, for everybody. Anyway, we'll be back in 2 weeks with more Uncanny X-Force. Please come hang with us. Bye.
Yep. Take care, everybody.
Later.